Three black SUVs turned off the county road and stopped outside a weathered double-wide at the edge of town. The elderly woman inside was certain they were there to collect something. Then the first man spoke. Mrs. Greer. Do you remember the winter of 1997? A hungry boy with a guitar. Loretta froze. 28 years collapsed into nothing. She let a homeless kid sleep in her storage room, fed him pancakes, listened to him play. She didn't know he'd spent half his life searching for her, and that the men at her door were holding an envelope with her name on it. Welcome to Whispered Wisdom Tales. Let's get started. Everyone in Heron Falls, Tennessee knew Loretta Greer didn't have money for a new water heater, let alone high-powered lawyers. So when three black SUVs blocked her driveway and men in tailored suits stepped out carrying leather briefcases, the neighbors didn't just watch. They held their breath. Loretta's hands trembled as she cracked the door open. The man in front removed his sunglasses. Mrs. Greer, formerly Loretta Dawson? She hadn't heard that name in more than 25 years. We've been searching for you for nearly 2 years. May we come in? It's about a young man you helped a very long time ago. Loretta's double-wide was clean, but small. Three men in $1,000 suits made it feel even smaller. The lead attorney took the chair across from her, while his associates stood near the door like sentinels guarding something precious. Mrs. Greer, I need to ask you about the winter of 1997. Specifically, a young man, a teenager, 17 or 18 years old, who carried a guitar. Loretta set down her coffee cup. 1997, 28 years ago. She'd been running Dawson's Kitchen in Heron Falls back then, a small town halfway between Nashville and nowhere. I helped a lot of people over the years. Heron Falls wasn't a wealthy town. This young man would have stayed for several weeks, possibly slept in your storage room. He'd aged out of the foster care system, had nowhere to go. The memories surfaced slowly at first, then all at once. The cold snap that February. The kid with the hollow eyes and the beat-up guitar case. The late nights after closing when he'd play quietly while she wiped down tables. The napkin. The words she'd said. The way he'd grabbed it from a dispenser and written them down like they were something holy. I remember him, Loretta said. Skinny kid. Polite. Never told me his name. Just left a note when he took off. The attorney reached into his briefcase and pulled out a photograph, slid it across the table. The photo showed a man on stage, a spotlight cutting through darkness, guitar in his hands. He was older in this picture, maybe 40, but Loretta recognized something in his face immediately. Those searching eyes. That's him. That's the boy. Her voice caught. He made it. He actually made it. He made it, Mrs. Greer, more than made it. He became one of the most successful singer-songwriters of his generation. Loretta stared at the photograph. The kid who'd washed dishes without being asked, who'd fixed the drafty back door, who'd played guitar so softly after closing that she'd sometimes forget he was there. I need to play you something, the attorney said. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and set it on the table. The first chord hit the air and the room vanished. Suddenly, Loretta wasn't in a double-wide in 2025. She was back in the diner, wiping a counter, watching a skinny kid scribble on a paper napkin. And then the voice, his voice, but stronger, richer, weathered by decades, sang the words. Her words. The advice she'd given to a ghost. Loretta's hand flew to her mouth. Oh, God. Oh, my God. The attorney paused the song. Mrs. Greer? That's what I said to him. The coffee cup slipped from her hands. She didn't notice it shatter on the floor. That night in the diner, he was frustrated, couldn't finish his song, and I told him she couldn't breathe. I told him exactly that, word for word. He wrote it on a napkin. His expression confirmed what she already knew. Mrs. Greer, I need to show you something. He pulled out a document, old, yellowed, a copyright registration form from 1998. Loretta's eyes found what he wanted her to see. Under lyrics, 2 names were listed, the artist's name and hers, Loretta Dawson. He credited you as co-writer, the attorney said. Every album, every licensing agreement, every royalty statement for 28 years. Your name has been on this song since the day he registered it. I didn't write anything. I just talked to him. It was unusual. His lawyers questioned it at the time, but he insisted. The attorney paused. What you said became the most successful song of his career. And for the copyright agreement, you've been entitled to royalties since 1998. Loretta stared at the document. Her name in faded typewriter ink on something she never knew existed. Why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he come back? The attorney's expression softened. He tried. After the song went platinum, he hired investigators to find you, but you'd sold the diner by then. Remarried, changed your name, moved several times. He was looking for you for over 20 years. He never stopped. He paused. Mrs. Greer. He passed away 9 months ago, peacefully in his sleep. He was 62. He left very specific instructions in his will. Instructions that led us to you. Loretta closed her eyes. The boy with the guitar. The boy she'd fed and sheltered and talked to through long winter nights. Gone before she could ever see what he became. If a story like this one stops you cold, the kind where quiet kindness echoes for decades, subscribe before you read another word. This channel exists for people who believe that what you give to a stranger in the dark always finds its way back to the light. I need to tell you about that winter, Loretta said quietly. About why I helped him. About what I said. The attorney nodded. Take your time. Loretta went back 28 years. Dawson's Kitchen sat on the main road through Heron Falls, Tennessee, a town of just under 4,000 people that most travelers pass through without slowing down. Loretta had run the place for 12 years, ever since her husband Roy convinced her that buying a struggling diner was somehow a sound plan. Roy was wrong about a lot of things, but the diner survived, barely enough to pay the bills, raise a family, build a life that felt solid even when it wasn't. Then came the accident. Their son, Danny, was 19, just finished his first semester at community college in Nashville, home for winter break. He was driving back from a friend's house on a Friday night when a driver ran a red light at full speed. Danny died on the way to the hospital, and everything Loretta thought was solid turned to dust. Grief does strange things to people. It did strange things to Loretta and Roy. She threw herself into work, into the diner, into motion. Staying busy was the only way she could breathe. Roy needed something different. He needed her to stop, to sit with him in the pain, to grieve the way he grieved. Neither of them was wrong. They just couldn't find each other in the dark. The marriage ended quietly in the summer of 1996. No anger, just exhaustion. Two people who had loved each other, but couldn't figure out how to be broken together. By January 1997, Loretta was 42 years old, running the diner alone, living in the small apartment above it. Most days she was okay. Some days she wondered what she was doing any of it for. That's when the boy walked in. It was a Wednesday night. Slow. The temperature had dropped below freezing. Unusual even for Middle Tennessee in February. Loretta was about to flip the sign to close when the door opened and a cold gust pushed a teenager into her diner. He was thin, not fashionably thin, hungry thin. His clothes were wrong for the weather. A canvas jacket, a flannel shirt underneath, jeans worn through at both knees. He carried a guitar case held together with duct tape and faded stickers. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Not hard eyes, not angry eyes. Just tired. The kind of tired that comes from having nowhere to go and no one waiting for you. Kitchen's closing, she said automatically. I'm not here to eat. His voice was rough. I was wondering if you need any dishes washed. Floors mopped. I'll work for food. She looked at his hands, wrapped around the counter edge for warmth. They were shaking, just the way Danny's used to shake the night before a big exam. The grief hit her like a physical blow. But this time, instead of knocking her down, it pushed her forward. If she couldn't help her own son anymore, maybe she could help someone else's. Sit down, she heard herself say. I'll make you something. She cooked him a full plate. Scrambled eggs, bacon, buttered toast, a glass of milk, a slice of peach pie that hadn't sold. He ate like he hadn't seen a real meal in days. What's your name, honey? She asked. He shrugged. Does it matter? Guess not. I'm Loretta. He nodded but didn't offer anything in return. That was fine. Some people carried their names like burdens. She understood that. You got family somewhere? He shook his head. Aged out of foster care 6 months ago. Been on my own since. Where you headed? Nashville, maybe? Heard there's music there. Loretta looked at the guitar case. You play? It's all I know how to do. She should have sent him on his way. Full stomach. Directions to the highway. Good luck. Instead, she pointed to the back of the diner. I've got a storage room. It's not much, but there's a space heater and it's dry. You can stay tonight. Figure out your plan in the morning. He looked at her like she'd spoken another language. Why would you do that? She thought of Danny, of all the things she'd never get to give him. Because it's cold. Because you're young. Because someone should. Loretta said, because someone should. And that's the whole story right there. If you believe that too, subscribe. Stories on this channel are for people who still choose kindness, even when it costs them something. He stayed that night. And the next. And the next. Loretta kept telling herself it was temporary. Just until the weather broke. Just until he had somewhere to go. But days turned into weeks, and the boy became part of the diner's rhythm. He earned his keep. Washed dishes without being asked. Mopped floors. Fixed the drafty back door. The loose hinge on the bathroom stall. The flickering light above the counter. He had a gift for mechanical things. Could look at something broken and understand what it needed. You're good with your hands, Loretta told him one evening. Foster homes teach you that. Fix things yourself or they stay broken. During the day, he'd walk around town or sit in the Heron Falls Public Library. But at night, after closing, he played guitar. Not for anyone, just for himself. Soft melodies had drifted through the empty diner, while Loretta wiped tables and counted the day's receipts. Sometimes he'd sing, voice barely above a whisper, words she couldn't quite make out. She found herself looking forward to those hours. The diner felt less empty with music in it. His playing filled spaces she hadn't realized were hollow. About 2 weeks in, she asked about the guitar. It was my mom's, he said. She taught me before she passed. Only thing I have from her. How old were you when you lost her? 9. Then it was foster care until I turned 18. 8 different homes. He shrugged like it didn't matter. But Loretta could see that it did. This guitar is the only thing that stayed with me the whole time. She understood about holding on to things, about objects that carried people inside them. What about you? He asked. You run this place by yourself? I do now. My husband and I split up last year. I'm sorry. It happens. People grow in different directions, sometimes. She almost left it there. But something about his face, the openness, the hunger for connection he tried so hard to hide, made her keep talking. We lost our son, Danny, 2 years ago. Car accident. She wiped the same spot on the counter she'd already wiped 3 times. Grief broke something between us. We couldn't figure out how to put it back together. He was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry about your son. I'm sorry about your mom. They sat in the kind of silence that only people who understand loss can share. Not uncomfortable, just honest. After that night, something shifted. They weren't strangers anymore. Just 2 people who knew what it meant to have pieces missing. The boy was working on something. Had been working on it since before he arrived. A song about his mother, about loss, about trying to keep moving when you want to stop. Most nights he'd play fragments, scratch out lyrics, start over. The melody was there, beautiful and aching, but the words kept escaping him. One night, about 3 weeks in, Loretta found him surrounded by crumpled paper, guitar in his lap, pen in his hand, frustration written across his whole face. It's not working, he said. I've been trying for 2 years, and I can't make it say what I needed to say. What are you trying to say? I don't know. That's the problem. I know what I feel, but I can't turn it into words people understand. Loretta finished wiping down the last table and sat across from him in the booth. Play me what you have. He played. The melody was haunting, the kind that stays with you. But he was right. The lyrics weren't quite there. Close. Not there. What do you want people to feel when they hear it? He thought about it. That losing someone doesn't mean they're gone. That they stay with you somehow. But I can't figure out how to say that without it sounding like a greeting card. Loretta was quiet. She thought about Danny. about the 2 years since he'd been gone, about what she'd learned carrying that weight every single day. When Danny died, she said slowly, I thought grief would swallow me whole. I thought I'd never feel anything but that weight for the rest of my life. He watched her, not interrupting. But here's what I figured out. The grief doesn't get smaller. You just learn to carry it differently. You grow bigger around it, strong enough to hold the pain and still have room for other things. She paused, finding the words. The people we lose don't disappear. They become part of who we are. They live in our choices, in the way we treat people, in the kindness we didn't know we had until we needed it. He had gone very still. Danny is in everything I do now, Loretta continued. Every time I help someone when I don't have to. Every time I keep the diner open late for someone who needs a warm place. Every time I choose kindness when it would be easy to look away. That's him. That's how he stays alive. He didn't say anything for a long moment. Loretta watched his face change, something clicking into place behind those searching eyes. Then he grabbed a napkin from the dispenser and started writing, fast, urgent, like if he didn't get it down immediately, it would disappear. Loretta went back to wiping the counter, giving him space. When she glanced over 20 minutes later, he was still writing, the napkin covered in cramped handwriting, his guitar forgotten beside him. He didn't play her the finished song. 3 days later, he was gone. She found the note on the counter when she came down to open the diner. Thank you for everything. For the food, for the warmth, for the words. I'll find a way to repay you someday. I promise. No signature. Just those words. Loretta folded the note and kept it in a drawer. She saved the crumpled napkin too, the one covered in his handwriting. She didn't know why. Some instinct told her it mattered. She figured she'd never see him again. She figured wrong. He wrote on a napkin in a diner in Tennessee, and it changed everything. If a story like this deserves to exist, so does this channel. Subscribe and help these stories find the people who need them. The attorney waited while Loretta collected herself. Those words, he said gently, what you told him about grief, about the people we lose staying with us. That's the chorus of the song, almost word for word. I never knew. I heard that song 100 times, and I never knew it was me. He made some changes for melody. But the heart of it, that's you, that's what you gave him. Loretta looked at the photograph again. Tell me what happened to him after he left. The attorney nodded. It was an immediate success. He spent 3 more years struggling, sleeping in his car, playing open mics for near-empty rooms. He almost quit several times. But he didn't. He didn't. In 1999, he got a meeting with a small independent label in Nashville, played them that song, the one with your words. They signed him the same day. He pulled out another photograph. Album cover. The boy, older now, mid-20s. Still those same searching eyes. The album went gold in 6 months. Platinum within a year. That song became a phenomenon. It played at weddings, at funerals, and films. It became the song people turned to when they lost someone and needed to feel less alone. Loretta's eyes burned. He did that with what I said. He did that because of what you said and what you did. Every interview, he talked about the woman in the diner. Never said your name. He was protecting you. Didn't want you overwhelmed. But he told that story constantly about the kindness that saved him. I didn't save him. I just fed him some eggs. You did more than that. You showed him he mattered when the world had shown him otherwise. You gave him words for feelings he couldn't express. You let him be human when he'd forgotten how. The attorney slid a folder across the table. The royalties, Mrs. Greer. As co-writer, you've been entitled to a percentage of every sale, every license, every stream for 28 years. He set up a trust in your name. Every payment that should have gone to you has been deposited and invested, waiting until we could find you. Loretta opened the folder with shaking hands. The number had too many zeros. More money than she'd made in her entire life combined. This can't be right. It's right. The song has been licensed hundreds of times. Commercials, films, television. It's one of the most played songs of the past 3 decades. This is your share. Loretta stared at the paper. She'd been living in a double wide, counting every dollar, wondering if her Social Security check which stretched to the end of the month. And all this time there had been an account with her name on it. I can't accept this. I didn't earn it. Mrs. Greer, you absolutely earned it. His will was explicit. He wanted you to have what was always yours. The attorney paused. There is one more thing. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a sealed envelope, written on the front in careful handwriting. For Loretta, when you find her. He wrote this years ago, left instructions that it only be given to you in person after everything else was explained. Loretta took the envelope, her name in handwriting she'd never seen as an adult. Neater than the note he'd left on her counter, the script of someone who'd found his footing. She opened it carefully. He kept a napkin in his guitar case for 28 years. If that moves you, this channel has more stories just like it. Subscribe now, because the next one might be the one you needed most. Dear Loretta, if you're reading this, they found you. I always knew they would eventually. I just wish I could have been there to see your face. I've started this letter so many times. How do you thank someone for everything? You saved me, Loretta. I don't mean that as an exaggeration. I mean you literally saved my life. I was 17 when I walked into your diner. I'd been on the road for 5 months, aged out of foster care with nothing but my mom's guitar and $40 that ran out in the first week. I was cold, hungry, and running out of reasons to keep going. Then you said, "Sit down. I'll make you something." And everything changed. You didn't have to help me. Nobody had to help me. My whole life had taught me that nobody would. But you did. You fed me. You gave me a place to sleep. You talked to me like I mattered. And then you told me about Danny. I've never forgotten that night. You were wiping tables. I was frustrated because I couldn't find words for this song I'd been trying to write for 2 years. And you told me what you'd learned about grief, about how the people we lose become part of us, about how they live in our choices, in our kindness, in the way we love what's still here. I grabbed a napkin and wrote down every word. I still have that napkin, kept it in my guitar case for 28 years. It's framed in my studio now. That song, Loretta, the one you've heard 100 times and never knew was yours. That's you. That's your son. Every time it plays at a funeral and helps someone cry. Every time it comes on the radio and someone thinks about the person they've lost. Every time it reminds someone that grief doesn't mean the end of love. That's you and Danny reaching people you'll never meet. I wanted to come back and find you, to tell you what you did for me, but I was ashamed for so long. The homeless kid, the foster care reject. I kept thinking I'd reach out when I was somebody, when I deserved the kindness you showed me. Turns out I always deserved it. That's what you taught me. Everyone deserves kindness, even the ones who don't know how to ask for it. The money is yours. You earned it. But I know you, Loretta. I know you'll think it's too much. So here's what I'm asking. Use it to help someone the way you helped me. There are other kids out there, other lost ones who just need someone to see them, someone to make them eggs, someone to say, "Stay tonight, figure it out tomorrow," someone to remind them they matter. Be that person. That's all I ask. Thank you for the food. Thank you for the storage room. Thank you for the words. You taught me that the people we lose live on in our choices. I've tried to make choices that would make you proud. I hope I did okay. P.S. My mom's name was Loretta too. When you told me yours, I knew you were meant to find me. Loretta read the letter twice. Then she held it against her chest and let the tears come. Not sad tears, not entirely. Something more complicated. Grief and gratitude tangled together. Loss and love. The ache of missed years and the warmth of knowing none of it was wasted. The boy she'd fed had become a man who changed millions of lives. And he never forgot where it started. The attorney gave her time. When she finally looked up, he spoke gently. Take as long as you need to process this. The money isn't going anywhere. When you're ready, we can discuss. A foundation, Loretta interrupted. I'm sorry. He asked me to help others the way I helped him. That's what I want to do. She wiped her eyes. A foundation for kids aging out of foster care. Give them a place to land when the system lets go. The attorney smiled. He would have loved that. Hot meals. A safe place to sleep. People who listen. She looked at the letter again. Someone to remind them they matter. That's what he needed. That's what I can give. We can absolutely help you set that up. The estate will be honored to contribute additional funding. Danny, Loretta said quietly, I want to name it after Danny. The Danny Greer Foundation. She paused. He's in that song. He might as well be in this, too. The Danny Greer Foundation, named after a boy who never got to see what his mother would become. If this story deserves to be told, subscribe and help carry it forward. Stories like this one only travel as far as the people willing to share them. 6 months later, the foundation launched. Loretta stood at a podium in Nashville, surrounded by music industry executives, foster care advocates, and hundreds of fans who loved that song for nearly 3 decades. She told the whole story. The diner, the cold night, the hungry kid, the napkin. The song played. His voice filled the ballroom. Loretta's words in the chorus. People cried. People smiled. All of them hearing it differently now. After the speeches, after the donations, after the cameras stopped flashing, Loretta went home, not to the double wide. She bought a small house on the edge of Heron Falls now. Nothing fancy, just enough room for her and the memories she carried. She unpacked a box she'd kept in storage for nearly 3 decades, found what she was looking for. The napkin, yellowed, creased, covered in cramped handwriting she now recognized. The attorney had given her one more thing before she left Nashville. His personal effects included the framed napkin from his studio. He wanted you to have it, the original and his copy, together, like they were always meant to be. Loretta hung them both on her living room wall. Next to them, she placed a platinum record she'd been presented at the foundation launch. 3 pieces of paper behind glass. 2 napkins and 1 platinum record. She looked at them for a long time. Then she smiled. The napkin was the one that mattered. The napkin was the one that had actually saved 2 lives. A 17-year-old boy who needed someone to see him, and a 42-year-old woman who had forgotten why she kept going. Danny was in those words, in that song, in every dollar the foundation would use to help lost kids find their way. That's how the people we love stay alive, not in photographs or headstones, in the choices we make, in the kindness we give, in the ripples that spread long after we're gone. Loretta touched the glass, the napkin, the word she'd spoken 28 years ago to a stranger in her diner. Look what you did, Danny, she whispered. Look what we did. 1 meal, 1 conversation, 1 moment of being seen, and a crumpled napkin that changed the world. Love the story? Hit that like button and subscribe for more. And don't forget to check out the video on your screen right now. You won't want to miss it. See you next time.